All right, folks, some of you may have already seen this floating around the news for the last several days, but you may have seen the fact that Mr. Vladimir Putin is demanding that Russia gain control of a church that is in Jerusalem. Now, before you start thinking, oh my gosh, he's lost his mind and everybody's going crazy here, you have to understand that this is a piece of land that was promised to Russia a little while back, well before any of this stuff with Ukraine was going on and so on and so forth. But obviously, transferring the ownership of the land could cause some serious diplomatic problems during a time where all of Israel's so-called friends to the West aren't being so friendly. Now, this is kind of crazy because I have a feeling that Israel is going to do what it can to maintain some level of diplomacy with Russia, and I actually think they are beginning to already give us an indication that they are going to work on this. Now, part of this article speaks about this, and it says that Russian President Vladimir Putin demanded that Israel grant his country control of the Alexander courtyard in Jerusalem, as the previous Israeli government had promised in a letter delivered to Prime Minister Naftali Bennett on Sunday. Now, this is very interesting because I don't think it's a coincidence that this letter came literally one day after the foreign ministry in Moscow slammed Foreign Minister Yair Lapid for accusing Russia of war crimes, etc., 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 with respect to what's going on in Ukraine. Of course, that offended Russia, and now Russia is demanding that Israel come through on a promise that it made. Now, of course, this is going to be a big problem because as the West is beginning to sanction Russia over everything Russia is doing in the Ukraine, if Israel allows something like this to happen, it could create some serious problems between Israel and the Western states. Although I think it's very interesting how the Western states, many of them are going to become inconsequential, especially the United States of America, in Bible prophecy. I also think it's important to note that when Ezekiel chapter 38 actually ends up happening, that Russia will be friends with Israel. Israel will have a very good diplomatic set of relations with Russia, who is going to pretty much be the primary head here of the attack that takes place. And I got to tell you, folks, this is a big story because I think that Israel is going to do it. And I think that Russia, especially with the help of the Russian Orthodox Church, is going to effectively pressure the Israelis for that to happen. And I think the Israelis will do it in an attempt to maintain good diplomatic relations with Russia. And I'm not surprised by any of this, folks. You shouldn't be either, because Ezekiel 39 says they're going to be close. They're going to have a relationship. And the bottom line is this: Jesus is coming soon. The Bible never gets it wrong. And we are watching God setting up all of the markers on the stage for the theater when all of this goes down after Christ raptures the church. It's amazing. I think it's happening sooner than later, and we need to look up because, boy, oh boy, oh boy, Jesus is coming soon. Don't forget that, folks. Work hard, put your hand to the plow, and know that Jesus is coming. God bless you.